Welcome back to the Sosbans and Sidesteps podcast. Good evening. I am your host for the time being, HG Rugby. I'm joined by New Jon. We're going with New Jon until we have a new nickname to replace that.
Yeah, I'm happy being New John until another John comes and replaces me, and then I will be happy to be Old John.
But
That's okay.
you've already replaced old John. That's why you're New Jon. So I don't know what happens when you go. It'll be John the third, the one after you. Um, so Big M is on fatherly duties this evening, which is weird because I swear he always said that Sam O'Connor was his real baby. But apparently, no, he has other babies and he has to go and look after them. He might be joining us later on. I've already told him that I refuse to read out the community section. So if he wants it read out, he'll have to come on and read it out. So brace yourselves. It could happen at any moment. But we are here to discuss and celebrate an unexpected Scarlets victory. I say unexpected. All of us on the podcast predicted a Scarlets win, of course, and we fully meant it when we said it. But Jonathan, 23-0. Who would have thought it?
Well, first of all, I'm going to have to change my name to John because I can't have you calling me the way my mother does. But yeah, I didn't see that coming at all. That was, well, not at all, but a nilling. I didn't see a nilling coming. Like, in terms of the quality of our performances this year, it's obviously above all others. Hopefully not the zenith so far. Hopefully we'll get beyond it. But up until this point, definitely our best performance of the year. And honestly, I didn't expect the defensive effort. I don't think Glasgow's tactics helped 100% with it. There were some interesting choices that they made to come and attack us with. But outside of that, you can only play what's in front of you. And I thought the boys done absolutely fantastically with what they've put out.
For sure. I did full disclosure, I didn't get to watch this game live because I was unfortunately in Cardiff watching some other team in red. They didn't do quite as well as the Scarlets, but it was a nilling. We'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later on. But what was it you so explain to me what the vibe was as you were watching this game? Because if it was me watching it, I'd be like, surely this is going to go wrong any second now.
I think I only properly believed in, like, I'm going to say about the 60th minute. I think at that point it was, oh, it might even have been, no, it wasn't 23-0 by the 60th, but it was 20. And there was this real feeling that no matter what Glasgow were throwing at the defense, they just couldn't break it down, either because the passing was a little bit sluggish, or, I mean, Eddie James and Sam Costello had a fantastic day in defense, and so much of Glasgow's attack comes through the centers that it really just meant that they just couldn't really get anything going. What they were able to get going came from little breaks and occasional. Well, they got a really good break, but it came because Page and James were completely blocked in the midfield, opening up the gap. But um, other than that, like, they just couldn't get anything going. And then once you start seeing them get so frustrated, that was when I started to think, okay, we can probably hold on here. If we can make another 20 minutes, then yeah. At about 75 minutes, that's when it started to be time to Google when were Glasgow last nilled in the league
And the answer to
and in
that
no
is
other organ tournaments. Well, in the league, it was. I have to double check now because I've closed it down. But it was back until like 2010, I think. In all tournaments, of course, last year against Edinburgh, against Leinster in the Champions Cup. Um, but I will look it up now and get it again.
I would
But
also
yeah,
like
it
to know what
was.
the league was called then. Was it the Magners League? Was it the Rabo Direct? Was it just the Celtic League?
We were firmly in Rabo Pro 12 territory.
Ooh.
The my favorite period pre URC, obviously. Um, but yeah, that was a good time. That was a good time. So April 2025. Um, I will find it. I have it here. Ah, yeah. It was a stunning game. Leinster 6, Glasgow nil in the 23rd of November 2012. So not clearly late November is not a good time for Glasgow. But yeah.
There we go. There we go. And I think Wales had just lost all four of their November games. That was the year that we lost to Samoa, I think, at home. So yeah, great year is what I'm saying. 2012 was broadly a very good year anyway. But anyway, enough about Glasgow, more about the Scarlets. So let's start off with the team sheet, I guess. Actually, before we get to the team sheet, or rather, while I load the team sheet up more specifically, I don't think people are talking about how much of an upset this is. I don't think people are talking about like Glasgow were really good, and Scarlets were literally bottom of the league with not a single match day points to their name, and they've won 23-0. This is one of the biggest upsets in club rugby that we will see this season, full stop.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I think there are some mitigating factors that people will put onto it. But at the same time, you do have to say that this is the 16th team in the league going up against, where were Glasgow going into this weekend? Third?
You're right
Second?
up there.
They were in top four. They were in top four. Now they've dropped down, but I don't think anyone would have. I don't know if you play the fantasy online or anything like that.
I've seen about it though. Yeah,
I
yeah.
Yeah, but this is the thing. I popped in, like, I was true to myself. I put in Scarlets by 5 on my fantasy. And a little warning popped up and said, "You do realize you're choosing an insane result at this point." So the Super Brew was not very happy with me for it. But I think I think very few people would have called it. Definitely would have called the nilling. Um, I expected it to be the sort of game where Glasgow would get out in front quite early, and we'd have to play catch up and then maybe defend in the last sort of 10 minutes to defend some sort of lead if we had a chance of it. And I was not expecting, first of all, I think the set piece to be as well, not that our set piece wouldn't be strong, but that it would completely dominate over Glasgow. I don't think you can. I don't think you can look past the set piece in this game for the scrum dominance, the lineouts as well, the maul defense and attack. I mean, for the first for McLeod's try, for the first try off the line out, um, Matthias and Fletcher Anderson, like they completely bossed that scrum, that maul, to the point where Matthias almost like shears off. I think two of the Glasgow defenders, and Anderson is able to completely swing the maul around to change momentum into it. It's a thing of beauty. It's great. It's so good.
I will say that I do think that Sam Lousy was obstructing. To be fair, if I'm a Glasgow fan, I'm saying that he's in front of the ball carrier.
He's he's got one foot in front. You
Okay,
can put
all
that
right,
there.
all right. You know, we
It's
don't, we're not,
it's it was definitely it could have been penalized. Yeah, definitely.
we're not called one-eyed for no reason. But yeah. So I think the pack performance is the thing that we weren't expecting. Look, it's not, we get our good forwards back, and suddenly we'd look better. We managed to get in Archer Holtz, who obviously does well. Kemsley Mathias, who's massively underrated, in my opinion, in Wales. Ryan Elias is obviously known for his set piece work. And then I think the big ones, the massive ones, are Max Douglas and Josh McLeod. If you told me that Josh McLeod somehow made our scrum 10% better, I'd believe you. The Scarlets with and without Josh McLeod are just two completely different teams.
Yeah, definitely. And I think also his work in defense is really, really impressive as well. Not just his tackling, but his and not just his poaching, but also his ability to slow down the attacking ruck for the opposite team. And Glasgow really came into this game with the idea that they were going to play with tempo, that it was going to be incredibly fast. I think on comms, Alex Cuthbert was saying that okay, they've what he thought when he looked at that was they've identified the bench as a weakness for the Scarlets. So we're going to try and run them off the park essentially and get the subs on because we know that we'll win that battle. And yeah, through players like mostly I think McLeod and Anderson, and also Max Douglas, so the whole back row, really did a great job of slowing down attacking ball so much that you could see that when Dan Lancaster, the Glasgow 10, was trying to time all of his attacks, it felt like he was off by like half a second or a third of a second every time. And everything that they did felt sluggish. And that's not down to them having just a bad day. I think it's really down to well, the whole forward pack, but mostly the back row for being able to have that effect on them.
Mm. It was actually Kevin Mathias ended up being the top tackler, which is very rare for a prop, and I think he deserves massive credit for that. Now, it might be that Glasgow were trying to run at him a lot to wear him out, but if that was the case, it didn't work. I felt like when the bits of it that I did get to watch, especially towards the end, I felt like that Glasgow had just they were just chucking it about by the time that I got back from the Wales match and stuck it on. They were just like, let's just try and make anything happen, and it was proper all hands on deck defensively from the Scarlets. We managed to give away a yellow card, but in terms of tackles made, we were 167 to their 118. Um, Now it's not a very Scarletsy performance. I'll bring up the stats. If you're talking about what you expect, how the Scarlets would play, it wasn't like razzle dazzle rugby. If I bring up the attacking stats, we're talking two line breaks and defenders beaten, which is the same as tackles missed. So I'll use that. Tackles missed, seven defenders beaten, which is not very much. Like I've seen games where we've had one player beat that many defenders. Normally Tommy Lewis. But who cares? Because it was just about getting the win in this one. So let's talk about the players then, mate. Obviously, Scarlett's had to make a few changes, and I shall bring up what I promised earlier, which was the team sheets. We got a lot of players back. I think the forward pack was the thing that was clearly stronger. And we'll talk about Fletcher Anderson, who I know after you've seen him twice and you think he's the best thing since sliced bread. But the back line, obviously, a lot of talk about all of the regions in Wales having to, put the hand down back of the sofa and bring up SRC players and stuff to play in these games. But it just speaks to how stacked the Scarlets are that, we were probably or one of the regions least talked about. Now, whether that's because, our PR manager didn't go so hard in asking the press to focus on, who was and wasn't available. But we were the least talked about in terms of having to bring in academy players. And I think that's because the likes of Jack Davis, for example, is someone who's been playing the house down in the SRC for a couple of years now and has just had his path blocked by a full Welsh international back three.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. I mean, you're looking at so Tommy Lewis is, established, not normally in starting back three, but established. And then Jack Davis comes on. What's his third or fourth game in
Yep.
Scarlet's jersey? And he did not look out of place. Did not look out of place at all. I know last week we were talking about who we thought would be in the 23, and I was convinced that it would be Johan Nicholas, who again I think is a fantastic player and has served his time at Park Scarlets with. We're all proud of him. We all think he's a great player, but I think Jack Davis now needs. We need to consider him as the backup to Blair Murray after seeing him under that sort of performance from again a very very good Glasgow team. Did you see? I don't know if it would have made the highlight reel, but there's a fantastic part where he fields a kick. It finds grass behind him. He has to double back. He goes back to get it, and then he has. I don't think it's the entire. It's the wing fullback and outside centre from Glasgow running up in front of him, and then the outside centre a little bit further away. He steps all of them, and then proceeds to make about 20 meters downfield before being tackled, and it just yeah you could really see the enjoyment in him on that day. Like it was fantastic to see, and Yuri Badham as well, like making his start, did not look out of place at all. There were even some great parts where he was in the line out, and he was following on support lines for Elias, I think, on the peel, and so he's already slotted right into the attacking structure and looks like he has a lot to offer the team. I mean, apart from I think he had one knock on in attack very early on. But if he hadn't knocked that on, then it would have been he would have been in a good place to maybe not score, but get towards the 5 meter. So overall, I thought really, really solid. Not opening for Jack Davis, but opening for Yori Badham, and a solid performance by Davis, which means he should be, if not in the 23 every week, at least in the conversation to be in the 23 every week.
Yeah, we've criticized Dwayne's selections and the sticking by players and not using the depth of the squad and things, and also just begging for opportunities. This is why Big M has been desperate for us to play more friendlies because he's like these boys need times in Scarlet, and now Dwayne's got a headache. He's got a test of what he's going to do because he's getting back a full Welsh back three that's just been playing Test rugby. But he's got boys who have just delivered his first win of the season as well, beating Glasgow 23-0 at home. Just if we go back to talk about it tactically again, do you think it's fair to say that Glasgow didn't play the conditions? I couldn't tell how much it was raining, but it looked slippery out there.
Yeah, I think it's always the way that it doesn't really, unless the TV director gets their favorite moment of being able to get the camera directly on the floodlights so you can see the rain
Yeah,
coming down. You
yeah.
just don't get, that's what French rugby is great for, but not important. Um, yeah, I think it was really bad conditions. I don't think we could really tell that looking from afar. Um, yeah, saying they didn't really play the conditions. I mean, I haven't really considered that angle of it, but I'm thinking of it now, and I think that maybe that going at it with so much tempo wasn't very intelligent. Trying to play like they really did feel like they were going for an all court, all passing game when they were coming to attack, and then it would just be immediately turned over or dropped, and then they would just have to kick away again. Or yeah, I think there's something in that, but I also think that they probably, when you're doing so well and you're going up against a team that is, I think we can say now we've had a win this year, that's struggling.
Yeah.
We're bottom of the table. I think we can say that we're struggling. I think there's going to be more of an idea that you're going to focus on your own game plan and not what's going to counter the opposition. And I think they were coming into that game thinking, okay, yeah, obviously the coaches are aware that, okay, Elias is back, Ball is back. They've got a new number 8 that we don't know much about. Douglas is back. McLeod is back. But I feel like
Keep
they
talking, I'm
weren't
still here.
really prepared for it. Sorry?
Keep talking, I'm still here.
Oh, keep talking. Okay. And I think that massive change in like forward dominance had a massive effect that they were not prepared for, and therefore their line out wasn't firing, the scrum wasn't firing, and they rely on those so much. I mean, I'm trying to think about the last time Johnny Matthews has performed. I'm not saying he performed badly, but that he had such a bad game in a Glasgow shirt. Like
Mm.
he's normally good for a brace or even a hat trick, and I think he was off before the 50th minute. They had a
Yeah.
terrible day in the front five and in the forwards in general.
Well, looking at the scrum stats, according to Rugby Pass, they had four scrums and lost a third of them. I don't know how that works, but obviously I've seen the highlights of the one big scrum where Matthias absolutely munches them. Hang on, Big M has sent us a crib sheet to read out. So Big M starts this.
Yeah.
It says this: Archer stopping Batty from driving in, Elias breaking Matthews' tight head seam, and Matthias taking Schickerling to the cleaners one-on-one. This is verbatim. I'm reading from Big M. Shout out to Ball and Lousy providing weight and stability behind. Elias best performance since before the knockout last game. I don't know what he means by that, but sounds good. And like I said, Matthias also finished as top tackler. Maybe I'll do a stats drop on him in a bit because you don't often see those. Um, a word on your
Just
favourite Fletcher Anderson that you
oh
haven't
yeah,
already said.
just quickly on Elias, he gave away a couple of silly penalties, but you don't really mind that because you could tell he was on the edge like the whole game. He was completely wound up. He knew he wanted to make a stamp on the game, and you can see it in his stats there as well.
Mm.
But yeah, sorry, Fletcher Anderson. Um, I think I like I was saying last week. I think he is very good, and I think he has a
He is
lot of
big. When you
potential
see
there.
him properly filmed and photographed next to the rest of the players, you're like, oh, he is a big lad.
He's big, he's young, he's strong, he's fast. He's a fantastic benefit to have in. He didn't have as large an impact as he did in the friendly against Quins, but I mean, that was his first game out, and the opposition it wasn't a competitive game, so you can't really compare it, can you? But I thought his defense generally was strong. I thought his maul work in particular was really, really good, and he likes a short carry up the guts, and we need that. Who really? Yep.
No, carry on.
Oh no. Who I thought was really good that maybe I know I was a little bit guilty of when I heard about the signing. I was a bit guilty of talking down the Jake Ball signing of him coming back, thinking he's done
I was as
wonderful
well.
things for us in the past. Yeah, but But really, after seeing him perform yesterday, that was like, or day before yesterday, um, that was just not what I imagined. When I thought he's retired, he's been off, he's been playing in Japan, and then he's retired, and now he's coming back to European rugby. I thought there's no chance. Like maybe he's on a bench spot or something. No, he can still do it. He can hit like the best of them, and he was absolutely fantastic in the scrum. Like I don't have much more to say about him other than that, other than I just thought he is he has proved everyone, me included, wrong.
That's what we wanted. That's what we always say on this podcast is we're not sure about this, but if you turn out to be amazing, no one will be more delighted than us. And that there you go. We are delighted. So the kind of guy that we haven't spoken that much about is Max Douglas. He was the official player of the match. It's just a fantastic signing. And, I just go back to when we made that signing, no one was saying, oh my God, they got Max Douglas. Oh my God, I'm so jealous. And he's come in and he's been one of our best players. No if, no buts.
Yeah, I think again, when he's wearing six for us, like he was on the weekend, it's work rate. Well, he's absolutely everywhere. And in attack, he's very talented, either in the midfield or as an edge forward. We saw him do that. There was I think was it early on in the second half? I can't remember now off the top of my head, but he was the last man on an attacking play, caught the ball just inside of the 22, ran it down to the 5 meter. Unfortunately, there wasn't anyone there to take the offload from him, and also the tackle was quite good. So I'm not sure he would have been able to get it away. But real pace on him as well. Real pace. He was good.
Mm.
Um, I'm just trying to find his stats from the game there, but I'm just getting the rugby pass annoying thing where it compares him against all other locks, which isn't particularly helpful. But
He has three carries and other stuff. I don't know. Well, get back to us. But so we've spoken about all of the forwards. I think we've mentioned pretty much everybody. The If we go into the backs, obviously it wasn't a game for the backs, really, the way that it panned out. We can't not talk about Sam Costello though, because what I really like about this Sam Costello performance that we saw on Saturday was this season he's kind of been trying to bring back his running game. When he first started with us, he was a ball in hands, running threats 10, and he was scoring tries, getting line breaks for fun. And he has brought that back in the first 5 games of this season. But then in this game, he kind of went, no, I'll be that standing 10, sits in the pocket, dictates play, drives the bus, as I like to call it. And like for the try, obviously it's his vision that gets it done. A little bit of luck with the rebound off the Glasgow player who just slaps it backwards, and then Max Page's sharpest gets to it first. But this is an example of how Sam Costello is a 10 who can play the game in different ways and can change how he's approaching a game depending. That's an incredible step, by the way, from your Tommy Lewis, I think it was. Um, but something that Sam Costello just doesn't get credit for. He doesn't get enough credit for anything. Let's just call it what it is. When I was in the stadium watching Wales, so, I don't know why, but a part of me, when the boys were down warming up, I was like, oh, let's see if I can see where Sam is. And then I remembered he wasn't even in the squad, and I got really angry. I think I might have kicked the chair in front of me because I was like, why are Wales playing matches deliberately not choosing the best fly half in Wales? And I think what we've learned over the course of November is that there is nothing that any other fly half in Wales can do that Sam Costello can't do. And yeah, I just get worked up about it, John. So I do.
yeah, that's fair. But I think the one of the most important things that Sam you said he there's nothing he can do, or there's nothing another fly half can't do that he can. Um, or that can do that he can't rather. I would actually go the other way with it, and I think all of our other tens are at the moment really prone to a little brain fart or trying to force something. And even when the team is going backwards, he's not forcing. He didn't force anything in this game, and I thought that was actually yes, his kicking, his decision making was really solid, but there was no moment of, oh, do you know what? I'm just going to tuck this under my arm and just see what happens. He didn't do it. And it was fantastic. Also, he counter-rucked like 2 or 3 times in this game and secured ball every time. Like who is this guy? Like,
he's got that in his game again. That's if we talk about there's nothing that they can do that he can't. There's stuff that he can do that they can't. And I think defensively he's Wales' best defensive 10. I do think, and I've said this on previous pods, he's lost a bit of upper body mass, and I do think that his tackling has taken a step back from last year. But I'm okay with that if that means that he's refound a little bit of speed and works better. But I know Andre Esterhuizen had a field day on Saturday against Wales, and I can show you clips of Sam Costello tackling Andre Esterhuizen and dislodging the ball. The tapes exist. I can show you them. It's like I think he made two dominant hits in this game against Glasgow, who are known for being a physical
I w
side.
I wouldn't be surprised. But where does he show up in the tackle stats? That's what I want to know now. Tackles completed. He's in ninth with 10. Yeah. So he had 10 completed tackles. Um, and just yeah, the again, I mentioned it at the top of the show, but Glasgow are normally running with Huapalotu shape. Yeah.
Mm.
They develop so much of their attacking go forward through the centers. And that's why like it's quite a good team of one side for Dan Lancaster because it gives him like a bit of a platform next to him that he can work with. He just didn't have that really on the weekend. Yes, he had Stafford Dowell, but he just wasn't getting any go forward because as soon as he was going forward, he was running into Sam Costello and Eddie James, who also had a really really solid game in defense.
Yeah, last
And
player we'll talk about Eddie James. Like I said, I can't. I don't think there's anything new that I've got to say about him. I think both sides of the ball, he's absolutely class. And Dwayne name checked him after the game as well, saying it's good to have him back. So we'll kind of had the debate. I think maybe when we would talk about the team to face Bristol, but it's kind of a massive headache now for Dwayne of how he manages this, and probably we kind of said it last season when Johnny Williams was re-signed. We said great, but it's kind of a bit of a luxury at this point, and yeah. So I don't know. You tell me what you want to say about Eddie James.
well, just first of all about his game, when he is in at second receiver off a set play, off a launch pattern or whatever, the defense has to tighten up every single time. I was looking at it and I was thinking, oh yeah, no, I know exactly what's going to happen after this line out. Eddie James is going to get the ball and he's either going to run in the middle to the left or in the middle to the right. Like he's going to do one of those two things and it's going to him and it's going to happen. And every single time it went to him and every single time he did that and every single time he won the first collision, made ground over, and they needed two or sometimes even three players to bring him down before he could go even further. And it's opening up. It's the only kind of mild frustration I had watching the game. It's opening up space outside. And I don't know right now how we exploit that. If we need to put a winger running in behind on a support line or something, or even Gareth Davis running a support line in behind him. But at some point, they're going to start getting offloads from his left arm out there, and they're going to find space. And once we get that, the attack in the 22 is going to look a lot better than it is at the moment. But I think we just need to find out how we exploit that moving forward. And I think teasing for later, I think we have a better chance of opening those gaps with him at 12 rather than Joe Hawkins, perhaps. Yeah.
Okay. Ugh. It makes my heart sing. It really does. So I think that's everything covered from this game. Just so happy to have a win. It's nice not to come on the podcast and be like, oh yeah, positives to take, or hard opposition, missing so many players and things like that. It's nice to just be like, yay, we won. Um, and so Scarlets, if we could do that again next week, that would be great.
A
Uh,
massive help.
a reminder, partway through, Lee keeps telling me that I need to read something out or say something specific in this pod. I can't remember what it is. Um, but yeah, if you're liking the show so far, please consider subscribing to the YouTube channel, which is Wrap that we're on, or subscribing on audio channels. You can leave comments now on the audio as well, or send links to friends. That really helps the audio stuff to grow. Really appreciate it. If you're listening to this on your way to work, have a great day. Enjoy yourself. And if you don't really like your job, just remember it's just a job. Don't worry about it. You can get home and watch Scarlets again if you like. Um, and we just really appreciate everyone who's on this journey with us. Right. We do need to briefly talk about Wales, mate. I know, so I was at the game. I'll let you go first. So you weren't watching it properly, I know, but let's kind of talk about it from a Scarlet's point of view. because let's be honest, no one wants to talk about just the general stuff, and we don't want to get into the conversation of like saying anything about anyone else's players or whatever. So, from a Scarlet's point of view, how did you think our boys went?
Um, from what I saw of the game, I I really saw very little of this game. I'll be honest with you. I think I looked up and I saw players getting run over from by South African wonderful URC players, but was looking at it thinking, oh, it's like a best of the best URC edition. Yeah, it didn't really go that way, did it? And I think who did we have? We had Ellis Me, Blair Murray, Plumtree was playing,
Yeah,
and
Hawkins and Roberts, both centres.
Hawkins and Roberts, of course. Yeah. Why am I forgetting that? Yeah, like I said, I really didn't watch this game. Don't say it too loud. I was watching the football. Um, but yeah,
What football
from
teams were
what
you
I saw
watching?
of it, it looked good. Oh, I was also confusingly, I was also watching teams wearing red and green, which was Cologne against Bremen, which was also incredibly boring. But it didn't end 70 odd nil. So there's that benefit to it.
I've
Um,
got a mate who's into German football, and sometimes he sends me the results. And I'm like, is that good? I don't know.
yeah, I'm not really even into football. It's just everyone I know here watches the Bundesliga, and so you've got to watch the Bundesliga with them. And they'll give you beer if you turn up at their houses, which helps. Um, but yeah, so how was I mean
Pilsner?
of sorry?
Is it Pils? Do they give you Pilsner or Weissbier?
No, so around Cologne there's a type of beer which is called like it means like beer of Cologne, but it's called Kölsch, and it's just water, really. I like it. It's very refreshing, but it's only very refreshing. And they serve it in these little tiny glasses, and it's not important. It's not important. This is how bad the game was on the weekend,
I
is
would
that you're
rather
now
talk
asking me
about
about
Kölsch than I would
yeah.
talk about Wales. But unfortunately, I had to watch it because I was there. Because a South African fan said, "I like you, Hugh. I'll buy you a ticket." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." So I then had to go and watch that. I would say I was in, obviously, amongst all the people, I'd say at least 50% of the people there were Springboks fans. At least everybody around me was a Springboks fan. Apart from this kind of older family behind me, and the bloke was the loudest shouter that I've ever heard at a rugby match ever, to the point where we were up in the gods, right? And I genuinely believe that the players down on the pitch could have heard him. 100% no doubt. He was that loud. And like
Mm.
he was like when they were on our line, he did it twice where he went like unbelievably loud. He went, "Defend with your lives, boys!" And both times they scored like two phases later.
Oh.
Um, and I was like, "Mate, come on, come on." But one thing he did notice, which I noticed as well, he was like, "We have not thrown anybody up on any of their lineouts." And Wales faced 20 lineouts in this game and did not throw anybody up for any of them, which
Just because they thought they had to defend them all every single time, or
that didn't work either. But it's just unacceptable, really. But in terms of the Scarlets' point of view, uh, I feel a little bit sorry for Ellis Me. I think he's been chucked in massively in the deep end for this one. I think he's a player with rugby IQ. He's got the natural attributes. He is skillful. He can pull a mad skill out. So I do think he is going to go on and be a test player. But I think he's a little bit out of form at the start of the season. I said on a pod previously that I think that I would like to see Tommy Lewis given a run in Scarlet. So when I saw that Ellis had been called up, I was like, "Ooh, well, I don't think he's been set up to succeed here." We know that Blair's been having a struggle. The high ball thing is such a thing now, and I think it's going to keep being a thing until he either solves it or he stops getting picked. To be honest, so let's hope he solves it. He's got to come up with something in ingenious to solve it because he's playing against players who are like a foot taller than him. Um, but I think the positive, not just from a Scarlet's point of view, but for Wales in general, I think that the best performer on the day was Joe Roberts. I thought that he showed why he's clearly the best outside centre in Wales. And every touch that he had, he went forward. He was Wales's top meters maker in the game. He had some lovely touches, some lovely handling skills, some good tackles. He's so underrated in terms of meters in contact as well. He does not quit. When he goes into contact, he just goes forward. And the number of times you think, oh, he's been tackled. Oh, he's still going. Um, it was just great. And so, it sucks for him. I thought he gave it absolutely everything. And I think he should be Wales's 13. I'm not going to lie. With Joe Hawkins, I do get it. We're not seeing it all of the time. We're not seeing everything all of the time, but I do get it because he does have a fantastic fizzing pass on him, and he does have a great kick pass on him as well. So I genuinely just think he just needs game time. But unfortunately, and we'll get onto it towards the end of the show, like I've alluded to, I don't see when or where he's going to get the game time from because he's not first choice in any position for the Scarlets. But I do get it. And I think that if he was just playing week in, week out, I can see him ending up being an international 10. But he had a job on his hands because he was defending two positions off the ball against South Africa. So, but I don't know. What's your kind of take on Joe Hawkins?
I think I'm really worried that he's going to kind of suffer with a case of like James Hookitis in that he's going to be very, very talented. He's going to be able to play well across the back line, and we're just not going to find a place for him to. What I think he really needs is he needs a run in a position. And I don't know where that's going to come from now because unless he comes back and he's really tearing it up at training and he's challenging Sammy for the 10 shirt, um, or he goes back into the starting 12 shirt. I, as you may be able to tell, I really like Eddie James. And I think Eddie James has a fantastic ceiling, but I don't think he has the distribution game that Hawkins offers you. Now, one of the reasons I think against Glasgow, right? We've had this very tight game that worked against Glasgow, but that's not the way we're normally trying to attack. The reason why we've got Blair Murray at 15, Hawkins at 12, and Costello at 10 is because you've got three really good decision makers who more often than not make the right call when there's space to kick or the 50-22 is on, or no, let's just clear, let's exit from here. Like the idea of our game plan is that we need these decision makers in those positions to be able to make that happen. And Hawkins, I believe, does that at the moment better than Eddie James does. That's his path into the starting lineup, I think. But it's really hard to look past just a big, strong boy who makes holes in defenses. And I don't think we have a player that does that better than Eddie James at the moment.
I agree. I agree. I would be okay with maybe alternating Hawkins and Sam for some games, like one's on the bench, one starts. Obviously, Sam's first choice, and I don't think you'll find anyone who would argue with that, apart from mental people, which there are some of those. Let's be honest. But the I think that's exactly the problem. I think we've done it to death a little bit, but he's a player who
Mm.
needs a run in a jersey, and we just don't see where that run's going to come from. Um, but yeah,
Like,
sorry, go on.
no, I was going to say like he's perfect. Unfortunately, he's a perfect bench option if you wanted to go for a 6-2. Like he's
Yes.
so valuable for that, but that doesn't help his career, and ultimately, it doesn't help us from a seasonal point of view. Like yes, it helps you for a game, but we're not making the most of him. Although I would say it's probably bloody fantastic to have him in training. Like if you're
Yeah.
running against him, like it's really useful to have him around. But like if we want to make the most of him, he needs to start.
I completely agree. I completely agree. Anyway, maybe that's something that people can let us know in the comments. What do we do with Joe Hawkins? Because we've got something here, but we just don't know how to use it. Right. What do we want to talk about next then? So I'm not going to go on about my experience in the ground. It's the worst Welsh match I've ever been to. What do you want me to say? People kept asking me
How was the
like,
light show?
I actually like the light show. I saw the old stadium announcer said he didn't like it. He didn't like the disco. It wasn't properly Welsh. And I was like, it's hands down the best bit about going to the stadium is the light show. When I went to the Six Nations against Ireland and they had the flamethrowers to Thunderstruck and stuff, I was like, this is awesome. I'll tell you one thing about the game though, mate. One thing that I didn't expect was in the stands watching the warm up and stuff. I was like, the whole Wales being shit thing is really gotten old now. I would really, really, really like it if we won. And I surprised myself in the kind of hour leading up to the game of how desperate I was for us to win, even though I knew we weren't going to, and I knew it was impossible. But I was like, I so badly want Wales to win this. And obviously, then that went and happened, and ugh, so that was pretty miserable. But then after the game, because people who obviously knew I'd been to the game and were just being doing that polite thing of going, "Oh, how was the game, Hugh?" And I was like, "Really awful. It was terrible. I really didn't enjoy myself at all." So it's because
Oh.
the obviously the polite thing, you're supposed to go, "Yeah, it was all right," or "Yeah, it was good," and it wasn't good at all. It was the opposite of good. So yeah, you know, that's all I got to say about that.
I mean, building on that, the thing that I'm hearing more and more from some people, sort of people who aren't as invested, maybe like week to week, like 52 weeks of the year, like some of us may be, but like Wales fans, not so much regional fans, but Wales fans are seeming a lot more positive about stuff, or at least maybe not since the last game. I haven't spoken to many people since many people in Wales since Saturday, but before that, I was hearing a lot of people being very optimistic after the Japan game, who thought like the New Zealand game went well. So like I feel like there's a little bit of a I feel like there's a little bit of a sea change among general fans, but obviously with among regional fans, it's maybe not so much because of all of the stuff with Red in and everything that's not really going down so well at the moment. But
What a clown. I read his quotes and I was like, it doesn't make sense as a sentence. I don't understand what he's trying to say here. And he was like, out west, you have to look at schools and population. It doesn't matter that they've provided more players to Wales than anywhere else in the country. That doesn't matter. You can't, I think he said like it's easy to be distracted by the historical data that shows they provide the most players. It's like, what are you talking about? You idiot. So
it's easy to be distracted by things such as facts over
yeah.
time, trends, other things that might provide information that would help
And
you
he's
conduct a review.
and he's like, "Oh, I wanted only two teams, but we've got a contractual obligation that I always knew about that we have to provide for. So we we've decided on three, but if we cut a region, then we'll have to make another one to fill the gap for the one that we just cut."
That's my favorite bit of the whole thing. Oh yeah, no, we're going to cut a region, but obviously we're contractually obligated to provide a fourth. So what I'm thinking is we're going to get some of the best players from the SRC, elevate them, create another entity. Maybe we'll call it an area or a zone, and this zone or area will compete for us in some sort of Welsh shield. In the like, it's just keep it. Just you don't have to get rid of it. It's absolutely insane. And I don't know if you've seen, but there is so much chatter online now about so many fans of other countries and like no ill will towards any of them, but like people are queuing up now and they're saying, well, there's a Spanish team that's going fully pro. What about the Lusitanos? What about Black Lion? And of course, if you were on the outside, you would want one of your teams to get into the URC. But like this whole thing is having massive ripple effects across like European rugby mostly in developing nations, and like I just wish it was happening in a different way.
I think Spain is a terrific opportunity for rugby. I really do. I've done a whole podcast about it. Spain is not ready for a URC team. They would get 100 points put on them every single week. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just being honest. So, yeah. So anyway, that's a bigger conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ, what are we
Yeah.
doing? What is
Do you
going on?
do you want to talk about something more optimistic?
What the Bristol game? You mean?
Yeah, I feel nervously good about Bristol.
Well, before we talk about Bristol, I've capitulated and I have brought up Mart's community tracker, and I have looked at it, and I have seen that actually there aren't that many games. So I am going to talk through it. So according to Mart's tracker, which is here, it's all blank apart from the SRC and the women's. Oh, and I'm sure that he would want me to talk about the Dewar Shield. There you go, Mark. See, we are friends after all. He would want me to talk about the Dewar Shield, where Llanelli beats Ronda to get into. Was it the finals or the semi-final? Yeah, okay, yeah, no, it was the semi-final. Apparently, I don't know that much about the Dewar Shield, so I'll let Mark talk about it when he's come back. But I'm told that this is a massive result, and Llanelli will now play Ponty in the final after Ponty beats Ceredigion 54-12.
I am so happy to know that it's going to be a Llanelli Ceredigion final.
It's not.
Um,
Ponty beat Ceredigion.
oh, sorry, Llanelli Pontypridd. Okay, well, I'm less
Yeah,
happy about that now. But
yeah.
yeah,
Oh well, so that I think that was the main one. That's the one that Mark would have wanted us to talk about. In terms of the SRC, Ebervale got battered. Ebervale battered Carmarthen Quins. That's quite a disappointing result. Maybe it's because of the number of Quins that were called up to train with the Scarlets. I don't know. I'd have to give uh, Mark that one to answer. He's written the initials of the players, and I can't remember. Ben Williams is one. Ellis Price, I guess, must be another
Ellis
one.
Price, yeah.
Thomas Williams. Uh, I'm going to say Owen Williams must be one. I'm going to guess OW.
Ossian? Ocean?
Oh,
Is it
Oshin
Ocean
Williams, maybe.
Williams?
Yes, sorry.
Oh.
And then I can't
Hmm.
remember who RL is. I'm sorry. And then Llandovri, good 30 points to 14 win over Avaravon. Um, Congratulations to those guys. They're having a great season again, Llandovri. It's great to see. They got, I think, Josh Morse, Harry Thomas, GH, Gabe Hawley, um, DG. Don't know that one. TN Sparrow, who was featured in a Wales Online article this week, talking about his illness and coming back from that. Griff Watkin was on the bench. Stephen Jet Jones was on the bench, and Kai Jones, I want to say that is as well. DG. Dan Gemin, I'm going to say that is. So there you go. There you go,
Yeah.
guys. You know,
I did
right
I
in.
did catch I did catch Ebu Quins, and
Oh, yeah?
yeah, that scrum is pretty terrifying, to be honest with you. It's not eight men, it's just one massive block moving through eight other men. That's what it is. Absolutely terrifying. Kicking game for people who love watching kicking battles. Really, really good game for that between Ellis Price and Kingsley Jones, lad boy, and I can't remember his name now again. Um, but yeah, really, if you catch it on the Huarai on YouTube channel, just for the kicking alone and the scrums, brilliant game.
There you go. I shall do that now that you said that. And then in the women's, it was Carnarvon beat Buryport 73-12 in not the most uncompetitive game played in Wales at the weekend. That was in the women's premiership, and then in the championship, Lamberter beat. You might have to help me with this one, mate.
It's
Gwernyfed.
tiny on my screen. Guernavid.
Gwernyfed. Thank you.
Guernavid, yeah, Guernavid. I don't know
Oh,
where Guernavid is, but it's Guernavid, yeah.
Haverfordwest won away at Old Penarthians, 20 points to 15, which is Dr. Harley Worthy's team, Old Penarthians. And then Whitland beats Llantwydfada. I'm so sorry.
Badger, yep.
Um, Whitland beat them 72-0, which again, not the least competitive game played in Wales last weekend.
I
Uh,
didn't know what you were getting at for a long time there, and now I've realized.
So yeah, so that's the community update. Big M will be delighted, I'm sure. Uh,
He has just texted asking to point out that Llanelli won the Duo Shield semi with a try in the final play.
uh,
He's texted to add that kernel of information. Yeah.
yes, they did. I did hear that it was very exciting. I hear that it was a great result. Congratulations to Llanelli. Right, so that's the community game. See, it's well quick when I do it. So that brings us on to Bristol, mate. So, Champions Cup. We are the. Do they play the Champions League music? They should.
They should, yeah. No, I find the Champions Cup music really annoying because I used to go and watch Leinster games in the Aviva and they would play it, so I just associate it with Leinster and therefore disappointment. So yeah, not a fan.
Okay, so they should play the Champions League music. Okay, tick. One thing solved. Thank you. Welcome,
First
rugby.
suggestion. Yeah.
So very exciting. I hope we get a nice big crowd. Anglo-Welsh game, obviously Bristol. So I'm expecting at least 30,000 people there. Um, Brit, what's your kind of feeling? Just first of all, talk about being back in the Champions Cup. That's cool.
Champions Cup is fantastic. I mean, it's a little look, the you have to be aspirational, don't you? So it's really great to be back. There was a dark year. Um and I will forever dream of getting back to the it was the semi-final against La Rochelle, right, where the park was filled out. We had
Well, that was the
lots of La
quarter-final. We
Rochelle
got
fans
to
there
the
as well.
semi-final against
Quarter.
Leinster and got thrashed.
Oh, yeah, that was a one like that home game was I wasn't able to go, but I just remember watching it from home and seeing the park filled and brought a tear to my eye. And that's the sort of
Extra
thing that
seating
I
they
would
had to bring
hope
in.
from this year.
You know, that
Yeah,
wasn't even
what's
that long ago. That was like 7 years ago. It's not actually that long ago.
yeah, it was 2018
Yeah, 2018.
season. Yeah,
Yep, 17, 18.
17-18 season.
Ty Burns scored the European try of the year, sidestepping. I don't know who it was. Oh, I think it was Anthony Watson, sidestepping Anthony Watson for Bath, away in Bath.
That's scary that you remember that, but it's but
European
it's a
try.
good
Scarlets
fact.
won European try of the year, mate. Of course I remember it.
Fair
We
enough. Fair
battered
enough.
them as well.
That was a
Um,
great game. Yeah.
Great game. I remember that was in the era that Wayne Pivac got into this habit of he would name um, Hadley Parks and Scott Williams the wrong way round. He would name Williams at 12 and Parks at 13 in like the team sheet, and then on the day of the game they'd amend it
They just
and put it
yeah.
back the other way around. And he did it like 3 times that season. I was like, "What are you doing? Why is this some kind of ploy?" Because anybody who's watched us knows which way around those two players play. This isn't a very good ploy if it is one.
I remember looking at that at the time and thinking, I think he's cooking. I think there's going to be something that's going to come out of this. Either he's going to do like was it that old like was it Crusaders or Blues that used to like mentally break the field up into like two halves and then have like one back controlling one half, one on the other, or something like that. I was like, he's going to do that. That's what he's going to do, and he's going to use the mastermind that is Scott Williams to orchestrate this attack. And then it was like, oh no, he just like he accidentally put one at 12 and one at 13, and yeah, it was yeah, nothing came of it. But
Yeah.
I still dream. I think that's why I get so excited about Blair Murray and Costello and Hawkins playing at the same time. Yeah, what do you think? Do you watch much Prem? Because I don't really find
No,
time in
I
the week.
refuse to watch that absolute garbage. But um, Jesus, a clip popped up on my timeline of Leicester versus Newcastle. And I was like, is this professional rugby? This looks like 30 drunk men. But the what I will say is I did do a deep dive on Bristol last season. I did a Twitter thread about it and looked at all their stats and stuff, and I called them the worst good team in rugby because their attack is amazing, but everything else about them is a complete shambles. I
Mm,
would genuinely. Here's the thing about the Premiership is that the score lines are just going up and up and up and up and up and up. And I think that's what got when we played Gloucester last season. I think that's what caught us out because we're used to even when we lose quite badly. It's very rare that we play in a game where one side scores 40 points. And all our games are
mm,
quite low scoring. Like low scoring, it's all relative, but at club level, below 35 is like low scoring. And very rarely do our score lines go north of 30, 35 for either team. Even like I said, even in games where we do lose. Um, so we're not used to playing in games where you have to score 40 to win. Whereas the likes of Bristol, the likes of Gloucester in the English Premiership, the teams are used to having to score 40 points in order to win. And I think that's why we probably find it harder playing against English teams than we do French teams. I think we're more competitive against French teams because they're more used to playing in lower scoring games. So genuinely this week, If I'm Dwayne Peel and I'm taking training, I'm only doing only attack sessions. There's because
Mm.
Bristol will find ways to score, but they will not find ways to keep you out. Bristol are not going to hold you out. Okay. So just do attack. Just run from anywhere. Honestly, look, we're newsflash, courtesy of me, we're not going to win the Champions Cup. Okay. So might as well just have fun while we're here, score some nice tries and stuff, restore pride, etc. And so I would just say, let's just go out there and do scarleting and be fun, have fun with it. Make people sit up and stuff. Like I said, it's the only way that you're going to beat Bristol is by scoring 30 to 40 points. So try and do that. Go in with that mindset, and let's not try and do tactical kicking. Take the three. No taking the threes in this game. Do not take the three in this game unless it's like the 81st minute and we're already a point up and we're just running down the clock. That's the only excuse for taking the three in this one for me.
I mean, the way our forwards have gone this week and last week in the friendly as well, I would definitely back them in any sort of short yardage maul situation, line out situation. So yeah, definitely. I'm just looking at their stats now on Bristol in the last couple of games. Um, their back three and centers, apart from okay, so they have James Williams in the centers. He seems to like a tackle, and he seems to like making his tackles. No one else on the team seems to. I tell you that much. Looking at it, they seem to be falling off. Tackles missed, tackles incomplete. Um, I know just from like social media and things like that Van Rensburg is quite nice ball in hand. But the way that like I said again, the way that I think Eddie James and Sammy shut down the center, because like really looking at their play style from what I can tell from the stats, they don't seem in the backs all that different to how Glasgow like to attack, and we shut that down pretty effectively this week. So I feel good about that. And they also, and you completely forgot that they've got Louis Rees-Zammit in there, who's the strongest defending winger that's ever
Oh
existed.
yeah, forgot about him.
Yeah,
Oh, I hope Tommy's
yeah.
back. I want to see Tommy versus Louis Zammit. I want to see that.
That
Um,
is the high. That's the high headline for me. He's
Blair
going to
Murray's
go
gonna.
against.
I think Blair Murray's gonna look good against Bristol. I think it because they don't kick. I think there was one. It wasn't last season, season before. There was a game they kicked the ball 4 times in a professional rugby match.
Yeah,
So
they do have Tom. They do have Tom Jordan though, who's like one of.
oh,
He's like
he is
he's pretty
good.
big. He's good and
He's
he's big.
he is
Um,
good. Uh, does Ellis Genge play for them these days, or has he moved again? I can't remember.
isn't Genge at Bath? But I don't know. Maybe he is at Bristol, or maybe is he one of those people who would never move to Bath because of some sort of. No, he's back at Bristol. Yeah, he's at Bristol. He
Okay.
was at Leicester and he's back at Bristol. He's been there since 2012,
Mm.
22. So he presumably will start
I'm looking. I
because
hope all
they
the
will
Brit.
fancy this game.
I hope all the Bristol fans think, we're playing against the Welsh. That's just half an hour down the road. And then they drive into Llanelli and they get past Cardiff and the sat nav says 2 hours still to go. And they're like, what the hell is going on here? Um,
Well, at least we didn't have to pay for the bridge.
yeah.
Yeah. I just think that I don't think a lot of people outside of the fan base will give us much of a chance. But assuming that um, they've got back Tom Jordan, they're starting Williams in the center, Van Rensburg. I don't know. I just think I fancy it more than I fancy the other Champions Cup games, more than I fancy Bordeaux.
I'm going to Bordeaux. I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a great day out, but I don't think there's going to be a
They're
win
not
after
they're
it.
not that they've not been that good this season, Bordeaux. They've lost their last 2 games. Um,
Where are
but
they in the? What are the scores in the
in the
top
top
14?
in the top 14, the scores in the 14 are I think they're like fifth at the moment. I think or sixth. They've not been that great. They've not, yeah, they've, I don't want to say regressed, they're just not operating at their best. But they've
Mm.
got Jalibert, who is unreal.
Well,
So
Bristol are mid-table now, right? So I think
they were
this is the easiest of the ones to
they
pick up
they were second
potentially.
in the Prem last season when they went into the Champions Cup and they went out at the pool stage, as in they didn't even get into the Challenge Cup. Like they finished rock bottom of the Champions Cup last season because they played against proper teams and got immediately found out, including by a very average La Rochelle team. Um, so yeah, I would just like to see us fire some shots. Uh, this Champions Cup campaign. I said last season, right? I would rather take 60 off Toulouse than beat Black Lion or Newcastle
Hmm.
or Perpignan. I would that's how I think about it. So this is just in pure enjoyment for me. The Champions Cup. It's a chance to just put the Scarlets back on the map, make the Scarlets great again.
Yeah, I I will not go that far in that sentence, but I will agree with you that I think it's definitely preferable to, although I was quite enjoying having Black Lion come and visit us, but it is definitely preferable. And I am a little bit, maybe it's just after seeing. I think if Eddie James starts in this game, we win. That's what like I'm lit. I know it's bold, right? But I just saw a very good Glasgow defense get really badly done over by him in particular. And I think if we've got Costello at 10 and we've got James at 12, I think we can win this game. I think that Bristol are not as good a defensive team. I think they have a lot of the similar strengths that Glasgow have. And I think that by following a similar game plan, maybe not the absolutely crazy, well, I don't want to call it crazy, but the sort of box kick from one end of the field to the other that we did at the in the second half against Glasgow. I'm not sure unless they can really nail that down. But other than that, I think no, I'm not allowed to say 5 points anymore, am I? Because it's
You can
bingo
say
and I've
whatever you
said
want.
it now.
Mark's not here. I'm saying Scarlets
Oh,
by
Matt's
two.
not here. Oh, then in Rebellion, I'm saying Scarlets by 5.
Okay, cool. Right. So let us know your predictions down in the comments. You can comment on Spotify as well if you'd like to. But that brings us to the end of this show. So that just leaves me to say thank you, New John.
Always a pleasure, Hugh. Are you
Thank you to
old Hugh
everybody.
or just Hugh?
I'm just Hugh. There has never been one before, and there should never be
Okay.
one after us either.
Thank you,
Um,
just Hugh.
and enjoy your rugby. I hope everybody's team wins, which in this case is the Scarlets. Catch you next time.